Hua Qingyan looked at Yu Qing and smiled faintly. He stood tall and said plainly, "The students of Shangxiao Divine Palace are indeed dashing and humble and seeking to learn. However, I'm currently not in the mood to teach." Hua Qingyan looked at Yu Qing and smiled faintly. He stood tall and said plainly, "The students of Shangxiao Divine Palace are indeed dashing and humble and seeking to learn. However, I'm currently not in the mood to teach." Yu Qing. The crowd. Yi Futian was utterly baffled at how pretentious Hua Qingyan was. "You're indeed some genius from the celestial gate of vast heaven. You really couldn't have been more celestial indeed," he thought. The student of the Shangxiao Divine Palace frowned. While such seeking spirit could have had different meanings, especially that between those of the same generation, it would have meant a challenge. Hua Qingyan deliberately went about twisting things around. "Well then, I humbly seek your guidance." Despite being momentarily baffled, Yu Qing was hardly fazed and appeared normal. Yu Qing went on to actually, humbly seek his guidance instead. "I don't have the time." Hua Qingyan smiled and replied, "Humbly seek my guidance? What the hell?" Hua Qingyan thought. Yi Futian was present, and if he were just to nod, Hua Qingyan thought that Yi Futian's chances would have been unlike any other. Qinghe's attitude in the matter mattered a lot after all. Furthermore, he was able to see that Virgin Genie and her people went to look for Yi Futian, just to get on with that matter after all. If Yi Futian's chances of being selected were far higher than that of Yi Tianyu, to begin with, Hua Qingyan saw no need to waste their time any further over there. The people of Shangxiao Divine Palace intended to show what they were capable of, yet they lost again and again, which Hua Qingyan found boring. Furthermore, the matter was not something that could have been decided by determining the winner of sparring sessions after all. The key to the decision lied with the upper echelons of Brahma's pure sky, as well as Qinghe's own attitude on the matter. The people of Shangxiao Divine Palace looked at Hua Qingyan with a baffled expression. They were rendered speechless. "Aren't you from the celestial gate of vast heaven? Why are you such a coward?" A sarcastic voice was heard. Hua Qingyan and the others turned around, finding the one who talked to be rather ugly, yet they dressed in extremely lavish clothing. It was a mighty one from the purple gold rat clan. The rats knew that their chances were slim, and had only been watching the show so far, seeing how the titans clashed. They never expected Hua Qingyan to behave in such a manner. He was the man who was lauded as the number one among the later generations of the Hua clan, yet he refused to answer to a challenge. But then again, it was also the rats' wish to not see the celestial gate of vast heaven get any larger than they already were. It would have been better if they were overrun and crushed by the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, which would have resulted in utter defeat for both parties, and that would have benefited the rats. Gu Donglu contained the luck of all demon realm in him. Gu Tianxing intended to have Gu Donglu become the new king of the demon realm, and the rats deemed the older man to have been naive. "Since when did you rats have a say in this?" Hua Qingyan turned around and looked at that mighty one from the purple gold rat clan. The rise of the ancestor of the rats had never been something to be proud of in the first place, and he was baffled at how they dared to say something that sarcastic at the moment. The mighty one was obviously offended. Intense cold was felt from him, which he directed at Hua Qingyan. The purple gold rat clan hated being called rats above anything else, as they saw it to be the greatest insult. It was easy to tell from Hua Qingyan's tone that the student of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven despised the rats from the bottom of his heart. Boom! The rat stomped on the ground and charged forward. Many rat demons followed suit, bringing their might down on Hua Qingyan. We of the Purple Gold Rat clan are now a supreme force of the demon realm, reigning on par with the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. You, a student of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, dare to insult us? A mighty one from the rats berated in a cold tone. Many mighty ones from the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven emerged and came behind Hua Qingyan. They burst with overwhelming auras, and auras from both sides clashed in midair, forming a raging current, which spread throughout the Xintian pavilion. Hua Qingyan remained unfazed and stood tall where he was. He then glared at the other party and asked, "Aren't the Purple Gold Rat clan rat demons? If you are indeed rats, why would you need to take offense at being called so?" Why would you need to mask your inferiority complex by calling it an insult? If you people are unable to take even that much, why step out and butt into other people's business in the first place? The mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan looked grim, and one of them emerged, glaring at Hua Qingyan. He said, "We're not butting into the affairs of others. We rat demons are just eager to see just what the geniuses of the Celestial Gate are made of. I suggest that you people stop humiliating yourselves further." Hua Qingyan's voice was mild-mannered. He remained looking nonchalant as he stood around, behaving in a loose, unfettered manner, without the slightest hint of taking a fight seriously, which was a stark contrast to the attitude of those of the rats. Boom! That mighty one of the rats turned into a bolt of lightning as soon as Hua Qingyan finished, charging straight at Hua Qingyan. Dazzling golden divine light pierced through space, and the terrifying demonic aura burst ragingly. Boom! Celestial light burst from Hua Qingyan's body in an instant, shooting to the heavens. One terrifying mirage after another appeared and burst all over the place, heading straight for that mighty rat. Countless mirages of Hua Qingyan lashed out with their palm attacks. A terrifying golden rat demon appeared right above his head, ferociously extending its claws. He tore apart the mirages one after another. However, the mirages continued to stack, and they seemed to have grown increasingly strong. A loud rumble was heard, and a celestial shadow clashed with that huge, ferocious shadow of the rat demon. Raging celestial light burst and permeated the place. That mighty rat was shocked and flung behind, repelled to the sky above. His eyes remained extremely cold as he glared at Hua Qingyan below. However, the celestial light from Hua Qingyan shot to the heavens. The mirages disappeared, and he remained standing where he was quietly, as if he had never made a single move. Mystical way of the Hua clan, the mystical cloud ladder. The crowd muttered as they witnessed the scene. Both the Hua clan and the Jiang clan inherited their own mystical ways, and they were all very formidable. The mystical cloud ladder was said to be able to climb the mystical ladder using the power of the great path of the world, breaking the limitations of plane advancement. When trained to the extreme, one would have even been able to break through planes, using mystical ways forcefully, and its power was said to be unmatched. Such a mystical method was extremely demanding to train, requiring years of excruciating training before being able to make substantial progress step by step. It was said that the mystical cloud ladder had 1,000 layers. Rumors claimed that one would only be able to make minor achievements after training for 100 years, and major ones could have only been achieved by training for 1,000 years. As such, those of the Hua clan began training in the method from a very young age. The mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan in the air had gotten increasingly ferocious with their attacks. Purple golden demonic aura permeated the sky, and there was even an extremely ferocious large creature being conjured. It was a rat demon that was boundlessly huge. It sported golden eyes, and appeared extremely terrifying and brutal. Many wore puzzled expression at the scene. It had been the ones from the Shangxiao Divine Palace wanting to fight Hua Qingyan before, but none expected the rats to interfere. Hua Qingyan looked up at the sky. Mystical shadows burst in layers over his body, melding with the great path all around him. A high-pitched screech was heard, and that rat demon pounced on Hua Qingyan yet again. The huge demon lunged with claws extended and fangs bared at Hua Qingyan's mystical shadows, devouring them as he went. It was as if he was out to devour them all in one go. Hua Qingyan extended his hand and waved, and the many mirages in the air did the same. He was seen striking out with his palm, causing his surroundings to shift as countless shadows did the same. That huge rat demon that pounced devoured all the shadows, but its huge frame continued to tremble. It was as if the shadows had all been destroyed. Boom, boom, boom. The huge demon rat's body trembled and roared. A huge mystical shadow appeared in the air, as if it was a manifestation of multiple mirages. The air trembled violently as he struck out. That rat demon howled in a frenzy, before being destroyed altogether. The mighty one from the purple gold rat clan behind turned pale. Celestial light sparkled, and Hua Qingyan's body seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. He clapped at the rat demon. In that instant, the rat demon felt the space it was in was about to be shattered. That seemingly light touch of a palm contained unparalleled powers. PFFTT. The rat demon spewed blood and was blasted away. The students of the celestial gate of vast heaven indeed live up to their name. Since we're all here in heavenly mandate realm, we naturally need to see for ourselves what the pinnacle beings of the realm are made of. A voice was heard, and Yu Qing walked out. He charged straight at Hua Qingyuan without bothering to seek consent. Yu Qing thrust his palm out, and a large palm print capable of shattering space appeared in the air, bearing down on Hua Qingyuan. The mighty ones of the celestial gate of vast heaven frowned at the scene. A figure was seen stepping out in the air, who then thrust a finger at the palm print of the great path. Terrifying pressure appeared in the air. The ones from the divine palace saw that others were interfering, and more mighty ones emerged with overbearing aura. In that case, we of the Shangxiao divine palace shall see what you all are made of. Mighty ones from the celestial gate of vast heaven emerged to intercept. As such, there were more and more mighty ones from both sides emerging. Many mighty ones from the Shangxiao divine palace, heavenly mandate dynasty, and the celestial gate of vast heaven emerged, clashing with one another, and making the scene look severe. It seemed that a single sparring session had spiraled into a group fight instead. This is getting messy. The ones from other forces sported baffled expression, seeing what happened. The scene seemed to have spiraled out of control. The mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan took the opportunity to lash out at the ones from the celestial gate of vast heaven without mercy, thinking it best to bring about a war. It would make things worse between the celestial gate of vast heaven and the heavenly mandate realm. It could offend those from the Shangxiao divine palace too. While the Shangxiao divine palace of higher heavens plane did not concern themselves with what their students did outside, the top-notch students themselves were all of impressive backgrounds. There were even some who hailed from top-notch forces of other supreme realms. The messier the situation at hand, the better it would have been for the rats. Yi Futian's expression turned cold seeing the scene. There was nothing to say about the conflict between them and the heavenly mandate dynasty, as both were destined to stand on opposing sides. However, he was able to see that the rats had indeed deliberately tried to make things worse, as they could have just watched from the sidelines. Furthermore, he had never actually paid much heed to how those of the rats acted against him back at the Origin Mountains, and he certainly did not expect them to meddle in his affairs once again. He cast his gaze in one direction and flashed, emerging like a bolt of lightning. The world around them shook as Yi Futian stepped out, making the minds of all those around him jump. The divine elephant stomping the sky spell was extremely overbearing, after all. The expression of a mighty one of the purple gold rat clan changed all of a sudden. Yi Futian emerged right before him, throwing out a punch. That punch seemed like divine elephants going on a stampede, shattering the space about, and with a rumble, that rat demon was sent flying. If the rats wanted to be a part of this so badly, it was time to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're too much. You're too much. The mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan saw how powerful Yi Futian's aura was, and several of them pounced onto him immediately. Holiness of Nirvanas. Yi Futian took one look at them, and found that there were Holiness of Nirvana class monsters among those mighty ones. Many of them launched forward at the same time, extending their demonic auras to shroud the space Yi Futian was in. The huge shadows of the rats pounced and tore down the stampeding divine elephants. A terrifying shadow of the divine elephant appeared above him, after seeing several of the rat monsters coming at him. Trumpeting of elephants were heard from above him. The space trembled, and the bone of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions burst within him. Boom! When Yi Futian stepped out once again, a terrifying scene appeared above in the sky. The elephants rushed and stomped the sky. The shadows of the rats were crushed outright, as they were stomped on by the rushing divine elephants. Furthermore, those mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan felt stifled. It was as if their souls were being put under terrifying pressure. Yi Futian stepped out again. He looked like a giant god of the divine elephants when he stood tall in the air, so much so that the holiness of nirvanas among the rats felt an overwhelming pressure all about them. Those rats stopped moving. When Yi Futian lifted his feet and began walking, that handsome silver-haired young man seemed to have become extremely tall and imposing, like that of a god. The divine elephant shadow, which shrouded his body, moved alongside him. Yi Futian stomped at the next moment, causing the divine elephant to do the same. Thousands of elephants trumpeted in an instant, as they tore through the sky. Boom! One rat was sent flying right while spitting up blood. It seemed that his powerful defenses were unable to do nothing to protect it. The blood in its body raged and howled, while his bones continued to break. Boom, boom, boom. Trembling noise continued to be heard, and one rat after another was sent flying almost at the same time. One of the rats, who was a holiness of nirvana, continued to charge forward. Yi Futian took a look at him, and threw a single punch. That space exploded in a frenzy at that very instant. The terrifying, devastating attack blasted onto the body of that holiness of nirvana rat, causing him to grunt in pain. His bones broke, and blood spilled all over before he was sent flying. It took mere moments to cause internal damage to all the rats who were in front of Yi Futian. No one was left standing before him, as everyone was downed. The bone of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions. A holiness of nirvana rat monster coldly eyed Yi Futian from elsewhere. His body then rose to the air, and he began walking towards Yi Futian. Towering demonic aura swept all over the place from his hand, which was holding a terrifying ritual implement, an imperial-level piece, causing him to emanate extremely threatening aura. He stepped out and walked towards Yi Futian, emanating an extremely terrifying and ferocious aura. Yi Futian looked down, gazing at the rat as he stood above in the sky. Those dazzling yet pitch-black eyes of his exuded contempt. Celestial light burst, and he shot for the clouds. A celestial soul was conjured above him shortly after. Yi Futian's eyes came to look demonic at that moment. The rat, who was shooting above, flinched slightly as if he sensed the threat posed by that soul. Yi Futian looked at the rat, and took one step down, as if he was stepping onto the soul of that rat. The rat dazzled all over, and an incredibly huge rat shadow appeared, shrouding his soul. Vroom! Yi Futian walked right to the rat, and threw a punch up close. That huge rat lashed out with his claws in retaliation, clashing with Yi Futian's punch. A raging hurricane whipped out through the sky, shredding the space all around them. Yet, there was a silhouette seen within that huge rat shadow. It was as if it was about to be shaken out of the body by the terrifying tremor, causing that huge rat body to stay fixed in the air, as if time had stopped altogether. Yi Futian threw yet another punch without mercy, blasting at the sky. PFFTT. Blood was seen spilling from that rat's mouth, as he was sent flying, and crashed hard onto the ground. The rat's body trembled violently, and he looked extremely disheveled. His soul was severely damaged as well. The ritual implement that he had taken out was not actually of much use. His soul was overwhelmed and damaged. There was no doubt that if they were to continue fighting, Yi Futian would have ended up killing him. That rat was a holiness of nirvana, yet he seemed utterly helpless in front of Yi Futian. Yi Futian did not stop there. He continued stepping out. Every single strike caused a mighty one of the purple gold rats to end up severely injured, allowing others to free up their hands to take on those from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. He, on the other hand, did not do anything against those from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. He behaved as if that had been his plan all along. Enough! A demonic emperor-class figure of the rats was heard saying. His voice reverberated throughout the place. His might shrouded the entire battlefield. It was apparent that it was not only the saints who showed up at the scene. Ren Huang and demonic emperors of a myriad of forces were present as well, and they were all very powerful. Seeing a demonic emperor appear among the rats, the Ren Huang of the celestial gate of vast heaven emanated towering pressure as well. The fighting throughout the battlefield was halted for the time being, even between the celestial gate of vast heaven and Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Everyone turned their eyes to a single direction. That silver-haired figure dressed in white stood tall in the air and looked extremely dazzling. He alone defeated all the mighty ones of the purple gold rat clan who attacked, causing the rats to look extremely beaten down as they laid there, defeated. None of the rats had been able to stand against him, which resulted in that scene right there and then. Futian turned his eyes at the demonic emperor of the rats and said, "Didn't you rat people ask for this in the first place?" His actions against the purple gold rat clan were to serve as a warning. The fighting between the celestial gate of vast heaven and heavenly mandate dynasty had nothing to do with the rats in the first place. If the rats intended to meddle in their affairs, then he would have emerged to subdue them. The mighty ones who were all downed at the time made it clear that all they did was tantamount to asking to be insulted. "Step down," the demonic emperor of the rats said. One rat after another flashed and backed away, looking very displeased. That battle was like a slaughter instead, and it seemed as if all of them had been taken down by just a single person, making all talk about fighting to be nothing but a joke on their part. All the other forces, who were only there for the show, were somewhat shocked as well. A force without such top-notch geniuses would surely end up being squashed by one figure after another. It was no surprise why Qin he claimed before that Futian was qualified to fight, to become the most brilliant one below the Runhuang of the realm. Many mighty ones from Heavenly Mandate Realm and Shangxiao Divine Palace eyed him. While the battle was one that was fought in a rush, what Futian had just pulled moments ago compelled them to take him seriously. There was perhaps only a handful of people even from a place like Shangxiao Divine Palace capable of fighting him, after all. The rats all backed away from the battlefield without saying anything, as they had lost the right to do so altogether. Although the fight was brief, things were undoubtedly dire, nonetheless. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. After the purple gold rat clan backed down, the ones from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty and those from the celestial gate of vast heaven glared at each other. It seemed as if a formless fire of war had enveloped the entire place. After the purple gold rat clan backed down, the ones from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty and those from the celestial gate of vast heaven glared at each other. It seemed as if a formless fire of war had enveloped the entire place. "You're all still at the Xiantian Pavilion, and I implore you all to restrain yourselves." A voice was heard at that moment. The mighty ones were all able to sense that powerful might, which was from the Xiantian goddess. "Please forgive our trespassing, goddess." Ling Yu of Shangxiao Divine Palace bowed and gestured at the air above. They were at the Xiantian Pavilion of Brahma's pure sky, after all, and their action of going for each other's throats without any regard for the rules was definitely rather rude. With the goddess emerging to interfere personally, there was no way they could have continued fighting. The students of Divine Music Palace, at those from Shangxiao Divine Palace. Yen Sui looked at Futian and said, "I hope to seek your guidance again if the opportunity presents itself, Sir Yi." He then turned around and left after saying that. The sparring session with music that he extended to Futian saw him losing to the other man, suppressed by the demonic instrument, as he had been too sure of himself. Even though he had indeed been tricked by Futian, he was still at fault nonetheless. Futian told Yen Sui that he was about to use a Runhuang class Guqin, yet Yen Sui paid no heed to it. As such, he ended up being defeated by the demonic tune from the instrument right away. Furthermore, Futian's actions at overwhelming those from the purple gold rat clan compelled him to reassess Futian's combat prowess as well. He was not alone in that, as everyone from Shangxiao Divine Palace had probably underestimated that young genius cultivator of Heavenly Mandate Realm. The people of Shangxiao Divine Palace turned around and left one after another. Tianyu shot a look at Futian as he passed by as well, which seemed to have a lot of weight behind it. "Let's go." Futian lowered his voice and said. Everyone turned around and left, heading for the palace which they were staying in. Xiantian Pavilion was mostly quiet again after that. Night fell, and the blue sky above Xiantian Palace shrouded the entire place in its grandeur. Futian trained in peace in the palace, yet his thoughts remained somewhat restless. Footsteps were heard at the moment. Futian opened his eyes and said, "Please come in, Goddess Qin." Someone came to him after he said that. She wore a cape and came alone in the night, looking rather lonesome. Qin he came before Futian, smiling and asking, Am I getting in the way of your training, Sir Yi? Yi Futian smiled and shook his head. I'm thinking of something as well, so much so that I came to pay you a visit. Well, that sounds like we share the same thoughts. He smiled faintly and sat quietly across Yi Futian. Her jet-black hair rested on her shoulders, and her skin looked even more fair and radiant under the moonlight, making her really look like some goddess who was beyond the reach of mortals. Yi Futian smiled after hearing Qinhe's words, feeling rather warmed. Qinhe looked at his handsome face and chose to sit and continue looking at him. Am I that good-looking? Yi Futian said in a joking tone. Indeed. Qinhe nodded and continued. Your looks are indeed rare in the world of cultivators. Too bad that one can't simply rely on looks to get their way about the world of cultivators. I wouldn't have needed to train otherwise, Yi Futian smiled and said. Qinhe smiled beamingly at him, but quickly became silent. She looked at Yi Futian's eyes and asked, I heard that Genie came to pay you a visit before? Indeed. Yi Futian nodded. What did she say? Qinhe asked. Hardly anything. Yi Futian smiled and continued. There are many things that I could guess at, even if she were to not say anything, after all. Qinhe continued to look at Yi Futian's eyes after hearing what he said. A warm smile was seen in those deep eyes of his, which looked rather wise as well. Qinhe knew that Yi Futian had really gotten it. Even if they were to say nothing, they seemed to truly know what the other was thinking. That feeling was something only experienced between soul mates, and it felt mystical. I was sent to train in Brahma's pure sky when I was very young, and becoming the Empress had always been a goal of mine. I hoped that I'd be able to create my own era someday, becoming the object of faith for all female cultivators in the world. That is one goal I've been working to achieve for years. Qinhe began to talk about things that seemed unrelated to anything, but Yi Futian chose to listen quietly nonetheless. Training was hard throughout the years. I've defeated many, and became a goddess of Brahma's pure sky. I'm now known as the #1, and I'm one more step closer to achieving my goal. As for the matter of a companion, it was something I had never thought about. Yi Futian was able to relate to her. She was a woman who had her sights on furthering her training. Her training was her faith, her religion, yet the ones at the upper echelons of Brahma's pure sky wanted her to marry someone all of a sudden, so she definitely was resistant to it deep down. One's state of mind would have definitely been very stable if one were to be able to get into Saint Plain in the first place. Even if one were to meet someone they had a liking for, it still would have been impossible for them to be swayed from that faith, which they had been holding on to for so long. Qinhe looked up at Yi Futian as she said with a smile, You are of unmatched appearance, and your talents are second to none, Sir Yi. It is so much so that few in all of the heavenly mandate realm are able to compare. If I were to have met you when I was younger, I might have actually asked you out on a date, and wanted to be with you. Her tone sounded somewhat joking, but those were indeed her true thoughts. Qinhe really did like Yi Futian, but she did not want to see them end up like that. Please, if you keep showering me with praise, my head is going to float away. Yi Futian smiled and added, You're a rare beauty yourself, Goddess Qin. I'm afraid the likes of you are of a handful, even if you were to be compared with everyone throughout the entire heavenly mandate realm. I'm very glad to have one good friend like you too. A good friend, eh? Qinhe looked at Yi Futian and smiled while saying in a low voice herself, It is a beautiful thing indeed, and I'm very happy to have gotten to know you two. The pleasure is mine. Yi Futian nodded. Qinhe then rose with a smile, looking up at the crescent moon in the air, and said gently, I suppose lacking something can be beautiful after all. She then left the place shortly after, and he did not say anything more. He did not even send her off. He simply watched as her beautiful silhouette disappeared from sight. After Qinhe left, Yi Futian then asked, You done snooping around? Cough cough. A handsome figure emerged without looking at Yi Futian, who walked past him, and said in a low voice instead, Don't mind me, just passing by. Yi Futian looked at Hua Qinyan, and it was then he truly realized that the dashing heir of the Hua clan of the celestial gate of vast heaven was indeed very thick-skinned. Middle of the night. A man and a woman all alone. No flirting and all riddles. Man, this is boring. Hua Qinyan muttered as he left with his head shaking, seemingly feeling the scene to be quite pitiful. This caused Yi Futian to feel baffled. Yi Futian left and came somewhere else. There was someone sitting cross-legged there. Moonlight shone on that man's robe, making him looking regal and solemn. That man opened his eyes and called Yi Futian, as the younger man walked by. "Futian," he said. "Teacher." Yi Futian came before Qi Xiangang and said, "I need to seek your guidance." "About the matter with Qin He, I suppose?" Qi Xiangang asked. "Indeed." Yi Futian nodded and continued. "I wonder how I should make my choice, and if my choice will turn out to be correct. I get the idea more or less with the thoughts you two share. Both of you have your own resolves. So what is the problem?" Qi Xiangang asked. "I wonder if what I do is too self-centered, and if it will bring about a bad outcome," Yi Futian answered. "Everything happening in the world has its own course, and everything is interconnected. All things that have happened have their own causes and consequences. However, no one can truly foresee the future, so how would you know if your choice would lead to a bad outcome for sure? If you were to choose another path, would it be certain that the outcome would be a good one?" Qi Xiangang then continued. "This is just like how it was back in Dali all those years ago. Your decision to leave was indeed a good one. But did everything happen as you expected it to afterward? Yi Futian chose to leave Dali without killing Li Yao, yet the Prince Regent went after them all the same. Yen Yuan ended up saving them. Eventually, the royalty of Dali became doubtful of the imperial advisor, which led to a series of events from then on out. In hindsight, your decision had indeed been the best. A man will only have to be able to hold their head up high and live up with their conscience with the choices they make. Regardless of what happens in the future, there will be no need for regrets then. What we can all do is to make the best out of the present instead of deciding the course of the future," Qi Xiangang continued. Yi Futian felt the weight on his shoulders being lifted after hearing what his teacher said. He then replied, "I understand. Go now," Qi Xiangang said, and Yi Futian left with a nod. Qi Xiangang continued to shut his eyes to train after Yi Futian left. The light on his body dazzled as he melded with the great path. Yi Futian ceased thinking about anything else after he returned, choosing to shut his eyes to train instead. The silent night seemed unusually long, and Xiantian Pavilion itself seemed unusually quiet as well. Cultivators of all forces trained in silence, waiting for the dawn to come. Qin He would come to her conclusion on the next day. She could not have simply left all the cultivators hanging after all. Yi Futian entered a mystical, calm, and immutable state in the midnight. It was as if he was so steeped into his training that he turned into a statue, yet he sensed his will spreading and existing everywhere, allowing him to see everything. At that moment, a silhouette seemed to have appeared in his mind as he continued to train. It came seemingly out of nowhere. That face was one that he was very familiar with. What happened in the world hardly fazed him when he was steeped in training, yet when that silhouette appeared, his heart twitched violently. It was as if he had been hit by something. "Jieyu!" Yi Futian uttered a single word. His eyes opened all of a sudden. It was as if he had forcibly yanked out of that meditative state in an instant. That silhouette in his mind gradually blurred and eventually dissipated. It was as if it had never been there in the first place. He shot to the air, and his eyes looked terrifying. He scanned the place with his will in all directions. While it was entirely possible that the phenomenon happened because he missed Jiyu, his plain level would have allowed him to tell the difference. When it happened previously, he thought it was due to his spiritual will being in a shaky state, thus causing a hallucination. But a hallucination yet again? This couldn't be. Brahma's pure sky. It definitely had something to do with the place. He pursued the silhouette all the way when he last experienced the phenomenon, and eventually came to the place where Qin He was. That was a training ground in Brahma's pure sky. The Xiantian Pavilion, which he was currently in, was within Brahma's pure sky's territory as well. Back then, Jiyu was gone because she summoned the will of the Empress of Brahma's pure sky. Was it true that Jiyu was truly still alive, and somewhere in Brahma's pure sky then? Otherwise, how else could her appearing in my mind twice be explained? He wondered. But then again, he was puzzled as to why he was unable to see anyone anywhere. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. It was a sleepless night for everyone, and in the early morning of the next day, countless people gathered in front of the Futian Pavilion in Brahma Sky City. It was a sleepless night for everyone, and in the early morning of the next day, countless people gathered in front of the Futian Pavilion in Brahma Sky City. They had been paying attention to the thing going on in the Futian Pavilion, which was related to Qin He's marriage. It could even affect the political geography of the heavenly mandate realm. However, they heard that Qin He did not make a choice yesterday, but instead let the cultivators of the forces stay overnight in the Futian Pavilion. On the top of Futian Pavilion, a conflict had broken out, and during the battle, Futian vanquished all the warriors of the Purple Golden Rat clan with overwhelming power, greatly embarrassing them. Many people imagined how that battle was like. How powerful was Futian? Many people also felt that Qin He was more likely to choose Futian. After all, Qin He had a closer relationship with Futian than with others. Today there should be a result. On the Futian Pavilion, the people of all forces headed toward one place. They would come to the Futian Hall, where the Futian goddess would formally summon the people of all forces. In the vast area, all forces of the heavenly mandate realm had arrived. Everyone looked toward the Futian goddess in front of the Futian Hall. Beside her, Qin He was also there. Yesterday, Qin He had been thinking for a whole day, and now the Futian goddess would know her decision. The warriors of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had arrived, and they stood opposite of each other. However, at this moment, they did not look at each other. Tianyu looked toward the direction of Qin He. He knew that yesterday Qin He went to visit where Futian and his companions lived by herself. Not only Tianyu knew, but many people knew about it too. However, would Brahma's pure sky really allow Qin He to make such a decision? He had chatted with Qin He in Futian City. He didn't mind her and Futian being friends, but Brahma's pure sky would not allow her to get involved with the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Now, Futian was standing on the side of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, and this time he even came here to represent the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Then, if Qin He chose to make friends with Futian, everything was different, and it would no longer be a matter just between her and Futian. Tianyu also wanted to see what Qin He and Brahma's pure sky would do. Everyone stayed quiet. Futian goddess's gaze fell on Qin He. Qin He looked toward the crowd and took a light step out. She took 2 steps forward and said, "Among all the warriors who broke into the Matrix yesterday, may I ask who wants to seek marriage with me?" After hearing Qin He's words, people looked serious. Was Qin He going to select? Sure enough, she would select amongst the people who challenged the Matrix. But before, there were only 3 major forces: Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, and Demon Sky Court, which could be considered as entering the Futian Pavilion. A figure walked out from the crowd of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty quietly. It was Tianyu, and he was the only one who came out. In Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, no one but Tianyu was eligible to marry Qin He. "I have always admired Goddess, and am willing to cultivate with you for the rest of my life. I promise that I will not let you feel lonely on your way of cultivation," Tianyu said. Although he did not need to rely on a woman to cultivate, he wouldn't mind having such an outstanding woman, such as Qin He, as his spiritual partner. Besides, this was related to the whole heavenly mandate realm. He pursued the great path of laws, but his priority was to let the heavenly mandate dynasty stand on the top of the heavenly mandate realm. Qin He smiled and bowed her head to Tianyu. Many people noticed Qin He's expression and faintly felt that she seemed to have some changes and looked a little different from yesterday. But no one was clear what kind of change it was. After Tianyu stepped out, everyone's eyes suddenly turned to the direction of the celestial gate of vast heaven, or in other words, fell on Futian. Although Demon Sky Court entered the Futian Pavilion, they didn't seem to have the intention to compete, and they were not able to compete with them. They were all clear that the spiritual partner selected by Qin He this time would surely be either Tianyu or Futian. But at this moment, Yi Futian was standing quietly in the crowd of the celestial gate of vast heaven, with no reaction at all. It was as if the thing had nothing to do with him. Yi Futian also noticed people's gazes, but he was still very quiet and did not move. Many people had strange looks. What was going on? Yi Futian, he didn't want to compete with Yi Tianyu? Even the cultivators of celestial gate of vast heaven looked at Yi Futian full of doubt. People all knew that Qin He and Yi Futian had a good relationship, and they once lived in a palace together. When Yi Tianyu went to visit Qin He just received him at the gate. The difference between her attitudes toward these two men was obvious. If Yi Futian competed with Yi Tianyu, the probability of his winning was high. At least, Qin He would be inclined to choose him, as long as Brahma's pure sky did not interfere. This time, everyone had assumed that Yi Futian would compete with Yi Tianyu on behalf of the celestial gate of vast heaven. Even the Xiantian goddess was looking at Yi Futian. Her eyes were so deep that nobody could see what she was thinking, but obviously, she was a little surprised. How about the celestial gate of vast heaven? Xiantian goddess even asked. Hua Qingyan gave Yi Futian a strange look. He overheard some of Qin He's conversation with Yi Futian yesterday. Did this guy really want to give up? So what would Qin He choose to do? Yi Futian looked toward Qin He. Qin He was also looking at him. They smiled at each other, as if they understood each other without speaking. Qin He knew that Yi Futian understood her. Friends were easy to make, but it was hard to find a person who truly understood her. However, at this moment, Qin He indeed felt someone truly understood her, and she enjoyed the feeling. Is there only the crown prince of heavenly mandate dynasty? Xiantian goddess asked. Qin He selected her spiritual partner, which made the whole heavenly mandate realm tremble, and all the top forces had come for her. However, in the end, only the crown prince of heavenly mandate dynasty stood out? Were others even afraid to have a try? No one had expected this situation. In the direction of the celestial gate of vast heaven, someone walked forward and wanted to say something to Yi Futian, but Hua Qingyan waved his hand and stopped them. Just let it go. When Jiang Taichu saw the reaction of Yi Futian and Hua Qingyan, he didn't say anything and just watched it all quietly. So, Yi Tianyu was the only one who walked out. If only the crown prince of heavenly mandate dynasty stands out, then there is no need to choose, Xiantian goddess said. Her gaze fell in the direction of the celestial gate of vast heaven. Yi Futian of celestial gate of vast heaven really did not want to compete? Didn't they care if Brahma's pure sky joined hands with the heavenly mandate dynasty? After her words, the space fell silent. Celestial gate of vast heaven still kept silent. Qin He, the Xiantian goddess said indifferently, looking at Qin He. At this moment, the atmosphere in the space was a bit depressing. People of the violet heavenly palace looked indifferent, but they were smiling inwardly. Nobody expected that the celestial gate of vast heaven gave up on their own. They did not understand why Yi Futian did this. What he was doing was handing Qin He over to Yi Tianyu. Warriors of demon clans were also watching this quietly. Even though the human cultivation world had grown stronger, the demon clans would not be affected. Unless some unusual figures showed up, it was none of their business whether celestial gate of vast heaven would be destroyed or not. Some demon clans were even glad to see it happen. Therefore, they didn't care about this result. Even the celestial gate of vast heaven didn't keep it in mind, so why should they care? Yi Futian still had no response. It was as if he and the celestial gate of vast heaven came just to watch the show. At this time, Qin He looked at Yi Tianyu and said, smiling, I am honored by your highness's admiration. I have also heard about your highness for a long time. Previously, in the battles of Violet Heavenly Palace and Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, you have shown marvelous performance. Today, I have the chance, so I personally want to spar with your highness and learn about your cultivation. I wonder if your highness can fulfill my wish. Was this Qin He's last test for Yi Tianyu? If Yi Tianyu was defeated, perhaps he would not be qualified to marry Qin He. However, although Qin He had strong combat strength, she still might not be able to defeat Yi Tianyu. Since you have shown interest, of course, I am willing to practice with you until you are satisfied, Yi Tianyu said with a smile. Qin He stepped forward, and walked alone toward the bottom of the Xiantian Hall stairs, then jumped down to the empty ground below. Yi Tianyu's body flickered, and he also landed there in a chivalrous manner. Everyone came to the stairs and looked down at them. Qin He and Yi Tianyu were standing opposite each other with extraordinary grace. Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, was one of the most dazzling figures of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty today. Qin He was the first goddess of Brahma's pure sky. "Please enlighten me, Your Highness." Qin He bowed to salute and said, "Goddess first," Yi Tianyu said. He was personable and let Qin He go first. Qin He didn't decline. She waved her hands, and suddenly, the clouds and wind over the sky changed their color, and the wheels of the great path converged. Behind Qin He, a sacred goddess showed up. This statue of goddess also appeared in the previous Xiantian matrix with 3 heads and 6 arms, as high as 100 feet. Countless beams of divine light shrouded Qin He's body, making Qin He look more divine. Many people showed surprise. Qin He used such powerful force at the beginning, but what was her intention? When Qin He was drawing palm print, the goddess also did the same. The great Brahma heavenly voice appeared between the sky and the earth, resounding through the void sky. The great path was booming, and the wind and clouds roared above the sky dome. Numerous divine swords emerged, and as the goddess' finger pointed down, numerous swords burst into the air and thrust toward Yi Tianyu. What does she mean? Warriors of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and Shangxiao Divine Palace frowned. Qin He's way of attacking was not like practicing at all. An idea occurred to many people. Maybe Qin He was unwilling to marry Yi Tianyu. Maybe she wanted to defeat Yi Tianyu. Yi Tianyu stood there, and the moment when he saw Qin He's attack, he understood something. There were not many changes in his eyes, but an outrageous spirit broke out from his body. A dazzling picture of heavenly mandate appeared behind him, making his body bathe in divine light. Both of them suddenly released extremely powerful forces. They were nothing like a couple who were about to marry. Yi Tianyu drew palm prints, and above the sky dome, there seemed to be a deity descending. A horrifying godlike figure appeared behind Yi Tianyu, holding up his hands. Countless palm prints blasted out toward the sky and collided with the approaching divine sword of cleansing. For a moment, the void sky oscillated, and the devastating air flow swept across the void air. What's going on? Countless people below Xiantian Pavilion looked up at the sky above and asked. There seemed to be life forces of horrifying great path, fluctuating violently, as if a fierce battle was breaking out. Besides, they could vaguely see 2 peerless figures in the upper sky, a goddess and a deity. Who were they fighting? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Many people below Xiantian Pavilion were a little surprised that a fight had broken out in Xiantian Pavilion yesterday. Many people below Xiantian Pavilion were a little surprised that a fight had broken out in Xiantian Pavilion yesterday. Today should be the day for Qin He to choose a spiritual partner. Why was there another battle? What was even more shocking was that the goddess figure was used in a technique of Brahma's pure sky, and the deity-like figure was a part of the ultimate skill of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. The one who is standing on top of the Saint Path is Qin He Goddess, someone said. The other one is Yi Tianyu, someone also said. Qin He and Yi Tianyu were fighting. Many people were trembling inside. Were Qin He and Yi Tianyu fighting? Could it be her last test for Yi Tianyu? People looked up at the sky above Xiantian Pavilion and saw the horrifying airflow gradually rising. 2 peerless figures showed up above the sky of Xiantian Pavilion. People could be able to see them fighting, and just as they had guessed, these 2 figures were Qin He and Yi Tianyu. Are they mad? Many people thought to themselves, hearts beating hard when watching the situation on the battlefield. The divine sword of world cleansing and the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty descended. Both of them collided with each other, using the ultimate skills. This was no longer a simple practice, but a real battle. I remember the last time when all forces broke into the Xiantian matrix. It also happened. People said to one another, but their eyes were fixed on the battlefield in the void sky. The divine light was shining, and the glory of the great path fell from the sky. Their battle became more and more violent. And people had noticed that Yi Tianyu was getting more serious, like a true god. His every attack was shocking. Even though Qin He was powerful too, she was quelled. In the end, the divine light of all skies shone down and descended over Qin He's body. Qin He was hit and flew away, and her delicate body seemed to be penetrated by the divine light. Blood oozed out from her bright red lips. Why did he hit her so hard? Many people thought and twitched inside. They did not forget what the heavenly mandate dynasty crown prince came here for. He came here to seek marriage with Qin He, but at this moment he wounded Qin He. People all thought this battle was way too fierce and would hurt the relationship, unless something had happened above, but they didn't know. At this time, above Xiantian Pavilion, warriors who were watching the battle also looked solemn and looked up at the battlefield above the sky. Both of them looked radiant all over their bodies. Yi Tianyu was bathed in the divine light, and the power of the great path poured into his body frantically. It was as if he had become the true deity. Qin He's temperament was like an immortal goddess, but at this moment she was injured. There was no change in her eyes, and she was still staring in the direction of Yi Tianyu. Yi Tianyu also looked at her with a pair of golden eyes full of penetrating power. He just meant to practice, but Qin He attacked him mercilessly and fought with all her strength, so he had to take it seriously. From Qin He's fighting attitude, he naturally understood something. At this time, although Yi Tianyu still looked calm, he felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Since Qin He requested to fight, then he had to do it. Is that enough? Yi Tianyu asked Qin He. Qin He stepped forward and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She still had a smile on her face, and her clothes fluttered as she said, "Your Highness is indeed a peerless figure, but Qin He can still fight with you." After the words, the glory of divine light fell, and more goddess phantoms appeared in the surrounding world. Suddenly, the goddesses waved her arms at the same time, and the vast world was all shrouded within it. A touch of coldness flashed in his eyes after Yi Tianyu saw the scene, and he said, "Since goddess wants to fight, I should accompany you." The divine armor over his body moved with the wind. Yi Tianyu raised his finger and pressed it toward the void sky. Instantly, the sky and the earth roared, and the killing light transformed from the Qianqiu brush, engulfed the void sky as his original body was moving forward in this devastative airflow. He only took one step and came in front of Qin He and slapped his godlike palm print forward. The great path was roaring, and the void sky was trembling. Yi Tianyu's palm blasted out tens of thousands of divine light beams, and Qin He's body was wrapped in the goddess figure. The goddess held the sword and collided with the deity's palm print, and the rumbling sound was like the collapse of the great path. All the arms exploded and shattered until the divine light also penetrated Qin He's body. This time, it was more violent than the previous blow. Qin He flew back. Her body was slightly bent, and her face turned pale. It took her a long while to stop. The battle ceased. There was no sound over the Xiantian Pavilion, except for the sound of the roaring of the great path airflow. People all looked at Qin He. At this moment they also understood. First goddess of Brahma's pure sky seemed to be expressing her attitude in this way, and she was by no means willing to marry him. Qin He, Xiantian goddess glanced up at Qin He and said coldly, "Enough." Qin He slightly raised her head, and a bright smile appeared on her pale face, but this smile made people feel a touch of sadness. There seemed to be a bit of loneliness hidden in that beautiful face. "Qin He can fight again, master," Qin He said. Her calm tone seemed to hide her determination. In a quiet space, only Qin He's voice echoed between the sky and the earth. Yi Tianyu's look turned cold, and he felt a little angry. He had said that although he was willing to arrange a marriage with Brahma's pure sky, he didn't care too much about it. Even if it didn't work, it wouldn't matter much to him. If he really was looking for a spiritual partner, there were so many excellent women in the world for him to choose. Even if he couldn't find any in the heavenly mandate realm, he could go to other realms. However, for his clan, he did not mind having this marriage. But now, even though Brahma's pure sky had invited them to come, no one competed with him, and Qin He was defeated. Why did she put him in such a situation? How could they do that to the heavenly mandate dynasty? Should they fight again? The divine light over Yi Tianyu's body became even more dazzling. Many people looked up at him and trembled inwardly. They knew that Yi Tianyu was obviously angry. Bang! Yi Tianyu stepped into the void sky, raised his hand, and drew a palm print. With the blooming of the divine light, the palm print of the great path banged directly over Qin He's body. This time, Qin He flew out feebly and hit a palace in the distance, and then fell towards the sky. This scene made everyone's heart beat fast. Yi Tianyu was attacking violently. As the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, he also had his own pride. If it had not been for the revival of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, how could he treat a woman like that? But now, Qin He still had not given him the respect he deserved. Now she still wanted to fight, so he would accompany her. It's time for Goddess to make a decision. Yi Tianyu stood above the void sky and said to Qin He, looking a little bit aggressive. At this time, Qin He's life force was weak. She got up from the ground, but her body was not stable. She looked up and smiled elegantly and sadly. I can still fight, Qin He said in a feeble voice. Apparently she could no longer fight. But even at this moment, she still refused to compromise. She did not express her thoughts clearly, but her actions made everyone understand. She was unwilling to marry Yi Tianyu, and what she was doing was a silent protest. Qin He looked at Yi Tianyu and looked toward the direction of Brahma's pure sky. Her beautiful and sad smile seemed to contain her memories. Since she started cultivation, Brahma's pure sky was her home, and everything of hers was given to her by Brahma's pure sky. The title of first goddess of Brahma's pure sky gave her a lot of praise about her appearance and her spiritual achievements, and they also came from Brahma's pure sky. She could not refute or directly resist orders from her master, so she could only make a silent protest. This was not the way she wanted. Instead of accepting all this, she'd rather return everything to Brahma's pure sky, so she would not owe Brahma's pure sky anymore. Warriors of Brahma's pure sky were also somehow moved. Many people looked at Xiantian goddess. Xiantian goddess still sat there, and took a look at Qin He, and then took a look at Yi Futian. Qin He went to the palace where Yi Futian stayed yesterday. What did they talk about? Goddess Qin, are you sure you can fight again? Yi Tianyu stood in the void, looking down at Qin He. Qin He looked up at Yi Tianyu, who was still bathed in divine light. She said, of course. Okay. Yi Tianyu didn't say much. Brahma's pure sky didn't say anything. But Qin He still wanted to fight. So what could he do? It seemed that he had to continue. Yi Tianyu was bathed in divine light, wearing the divine armor. The dazzling light made many people feel scared. Yi Tianyu raised his hand and thrust it toward Qin He. It seemed as if the strike was enough to destroy Qin He. Many people's hearts thumped fast. Yi Tianyu's movement was also very slow. It was as if he was waiting for something. However, Brahma's pure sky still did not say anything, and Qin He did not compromise. With his arms slowly lowering, his body also went down and headed straight toward where Qin He was. The gorgeous divine light engulfed Qin He's body, making it almost impossible to see her figure. All warriors held their breath. No one had expected that things would end like this today. The things today were beyond everyone's expectations. Finally, the gorgeous light came. Boom! After a loud noise, the void sky trembled violently, and people's hearts thumped hard with it. Countless eyes stared at the front. The fairy-like figure was still standing there, not withering. In the sky above her body, a silver-haired figure showed up. His hair was white, and his clothes were white, and he was handsome and unparalleled. The sound of elephant roaring came out, and the horrifying aura of elephant shone between the sky and the earth, containing an appalling might. Yi Futian. Did he finally come out? Many pairs of eyes were fixed on him. Just now, at the crucial moment, Yi Futian came across the space and came in front of Qin He, blocking Yi Tianyu's blow. Yi Tianyu lowered his head, and his eyes fell on Yi Futian's body. The wills of the great path growled, and his expression was extremely cold. He said, I don't remember you coming out at the beginning. Since Yi Futian didn't come out at the beginning, he had given up the opportunity to fight. But he stood up at this moment. What did he mean? Xiantian goddess was also looking at Yi Futian. Until this moment, she still didn't mean to intervene. even though many disciples of Brahma's pure sky had shown their worry. Today, two supreme powers of the heavenly mandate realm have jointly persecuted a young cultivator. I feel pity for you. Yi Futian avoided directly responding to Yi Tianyu's words, and said this ironically. His eyes looked a bit cold. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Qin He went to him last night, and after their conversation, Yi Futian understood Qin He's thoughts, and the two also reached a certain understanding. Qin He went to him last night, and after their conversation, Yi Futian understood Qin He's thoughts, and the two also reached a certain understanding. Everyone had speculated that Qin He might choose him, but neither he nor Qin He had such an idea. Therefore, he did not step out today, nor did Qin He choose Yi Tianyu, but instead, they experienced a great battle just now, which was her intention. Coerce. Yi Tianyu murmured and said, I never coerced anyone. It was Brahma's pure heaven who extended the invitation to this feast. And it was Brahma's pure heaven that informed us Od Qin, He's intention, to choose a companion in cultivation. So I came from the heavenly mandate realm, and did all this. What is the meaning of this? As he finished speaking, he stepped forward, and looked at Yi Futian. Since you didn't step out, you are not qualified to intervene in this matter. If Brahma's pure heaven wants to make an alliance with anyone, it's a decision that could be made directly. I don't think Qin He is qualified to decide for Brahma's pure heaven. Yi Futian looked at Xiantian goddess and said, I would humbly ask Xiantian goddess, what is the meaning of all this? For Qin He to pick a path companion meant that Qin He had the power to decide the alliance by marriage. But judging from all that had happened, he did not think Qin He had such a position in Brahma's pure heaven. Coupled with what he saw last night, there must be an ulterior motive for Brahma's pure heaven to do so. And it had nothing to do with Qin He. Qin He was just the one that Brahma's pure heaven decided to sacrifice for some yet unknown purpose. Xiantian goddess looked at Yi Futian, and instead of answering Yi Futian's question, she asked, Yi Futian, today Brahma's pure heaven is choosing a path companion for Qin He. Are you in or are you out? Yi Futian gazed at the other, and did not avoid the eyes of the Xiantian goddess. He looked very serious, and with a hint of indifference he said, I do not deal in the sacrifice of another, and Qin He, she is also unwilling to make such a trade. Xiantian goddess looked into Yi Futian's eyes. Was he refusing? Everyone in Heavenly Mandate Realm had thought that today Yi Futian would compete with the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, Yi Tianyu, and because of Qin He's preference, Yi Futian was the most likely to win Qin He over as her chosen path companion. But no one would think that Yi Futian did not participate directly, and Qin He was even more resolute. Their attitude was clearly witnessed by everyone. Even though it concerned the institution of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, they were still unwilling to go against their hearts and do something against their will. Qin He especially had even defied the order of her master and had made a silent protest by fighting against Yi Tianyu, the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, until she could fight no longer. At this moment, Qin He took a step forward. Her face was still pale, with blood stains at the corners of her mouth. The step she took put her next to Yi Futian. The face of the peerless goddess was beautiful beyond compare, and the white-haired young man was full of spirit. In this instant, many witnessed an illusion. It was as if they were really a perfect pair. Moreover, everyone could see that they admired each other. Qin He had openly expressed her admiration for Yi Futian, and Yi Futian protecting Qin He did the same. But admiration aside, it did not represent feelings, nor was it entangled with selfish interests. That was not Yi Futian's intent, nor was it Qin He's. Especially for Qin He, at this moment, she smiled and cast a glance at the white-haired young man beside her. Her admiration of Yi Futian came from her heart. He was so dazzling and outstanding. Everyone thought that Yi Tianyu, the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and Gu Donglu of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, were the two most talented geniuses and representatives of this generation. But in Qin He's eyes, everyone had underestimated Yi Futian. Even though he had demonstrated great talent, the world still underestimated him. She thought that in the future, Yi Futian would rule over all in the heavenly mandate heaven. Young Master Yi is right. All that Qin he has was given to her by her master. It can all also be taken back by her master. One came to Brahma's pure heaven to seek the way, and see the way diminished at Brahma's pure heaven. There was no resentment or regret. It is just because of clan interest to arrange a marriage. This was not Qin He's idea. Qin He glanced at the Xiantian goddess. Her voice showed her determination. This was the path of her way, and she would guard it no matter the cost, even if it meant the destruction of her way. Her heart remained on its path. Many were silent upon hearing what Qin He had to say. The cultivators here were all cultivators of Saint Plane or higher. Even though in the heavenly mandate realm, cultivators of Saint Plane were plentiful, and were not considered to be at a high plane. Yet it was a plane that had also undergone the test of the mindfulness of the path, and their hearts had experienced transformation. Therefore they were all a little moved. There was a reason why Qin He was able to become the first maiden of Brahma's pure heaven. If she accepted the arrangement of Brahma's pure heaven, and became path companions with the crown prince of heavenly mandate dynasty, she would still be the magnificent Qin He even when the two became a heavenly couple. But at this moment, Qin He, with a touch of sadness, seemed to be even more admirable and deserving of respect. In the quiet space, many people had a lot of thoughts of their own, but none of them were easy to express. Even Xiantian goddess was silent at the moment, and did not speak. No one knew her thoughts, and no one knew the thoughts of Brahma's pure heaven. From the beginning until now, everyone was a little doubtful. They came here to see how the whole thing would turn out. Since Goddess Qin has already said so, then let it stop here. Although I am not a human cultivator, the matter of human marriage should not be forced. A voice interrupted the quiet space, and the one who spoke was the cultivator of the dragon gods, Long Chun. At this moment, under these circumstances, many people dared not speak, but Long Chun didn't care so much. The dragon gods of the demon realm was extremely powerful. Long Chun, as the purple blood divine dragon, had incredible talent. His status in the demon realm was comparable to that of Yi Tianyu in the world of human cultivation. Long Chun didn't care so much, so he spoke up. So Brahma's pure heaven invited all the forces here with such great flair, tested the Xiantian matrix, entered the Xiantian pavilion, under the pretext that Qin He was to choose a companion. All the forces of the heavenly mandate realm came for this purpose. And this is how it ends? Yingzhou Mountain's demonic cultivators remarked. What is all this? None of us could breach the matrix. So although we were not qualified to participate, if this is how things end, it really does look like a joke. The cultivators of the Purple Gold Rat clan had always reveled in chaos. They had always wanted the situation to be more chaotic. The heavenly mandate dynasty is a supreme principality. Its crown prince is an excellent figure in his own right. He is not too concerned about it. If he wants to continue and push Goddess Qin further away, what good would it do? It would just sully the reputation of the two great powers. At this time, Gao Yuang 10,000 Divine Mountain also spoke up, seemingly to calm down the situation. Yi Tianyu had been standing above the void, surrounded by divine light, clad in the armor of a god. Of all the comments made, what was said by Gao Huang of the 10,000 Divine Mountain was actually the most realistic. Qin He behaved so resolutely that if he were to continue, the two peak forces of Brahma's pure heaven and heavenly mandate dynasty, both pushing a peerless goddess into a desperate situation, would definitely not be some glorious matter to boast of. But was he the one who caused everything that happened to reach this point? Now Yi Tianyu looked like the bad guy. Yi Tianyu suddenly laughed, with a particularly sarcastic irony. What did it all this have to do with him? The heavenly mandate dynasty and Yi Tianyu were both innocent. He came because of Brahma's pure heaven's invitation. He tried very hard to do what he could. But now, he had become the one to be accused of doing something wrong. It was as if he was pressuring Qin He, like he wanted to destroy this beauty out of his own narrow-mindedness. How ironic. What a joke. The fault of Brahma's pure heaven seems to be my senior brother's fault. In the direction of Shangxiao Divine Palace, Yin Sui also spoke up, and his tone was laced with some sarcasm. Neither Yi Tianyu nor Qin He was wrong. They were both doing what they thought was the right thing to do, and they were insisting on their own way. All this chaos has been caused by Brahma's pure heaven. Brahma's pure heaven? Aren't you going to say anything? Ling Yu also remarked, with some dissatisfaction in his tone. Shangxiao Divine Palace came to help Yi Tianyu to bring back the beauty as a contribution to Yi Tianyu's effort to revive the heavenly mandate dynasty. But now what was this? There was nothing more that Xiantian goddess could say. All of this went beyond anything she could have anticipated. I, Yi Tianyu, am a true and righteous man. I have no concerns over lacking a wife. Since Goddess Qin is not in favor of the union, I will not force it. Yi Tianyu finally spoke his mind, causing everyone's heart to be slightly disquieted. Yi Tianyu was willing to give up. He no longer pressing Qin He on the matter. Senior brother, the people from Shangxiao Divine Palace, such as Yin Sui, wanted to see Yi Tianyu succeed. Many people admired Yi Tianyu in their hearts. Above the Shangxiao Divine Palace, Yi Tianyu was definitely the one and only. True and righteous men did not lack mates, but Brahma's pure heaven should not have contrived such a scheme. But even so, Yi Tianyu would no longer continue to entangle himself in this matter. This was his attitude on the matter. Although he had let it go, Yi Tianyu's eyes still fell on Qin He, or rather, fastened on Yi Futian. In the past, at the celestial gate of vast heaven, you intervened in the dispute between the celestial gate of vast heaven and my heavenly mandate dynasty. Now, in Xiantian Pavilion at Brahma's pure heaven, why do you interfere with the matter between Brahma's pure heaven and me, since you did not participate yourself? Yi Tianyu's eyes fell on Yi Futian. His eyes were extremely sharp. As he took a step forward, the void shook, and the divine light was radiant, shining toward Yi Futian's direction. Yi Futian looked up at Yi Tianyu, and the hearts of many trembled slightly. Yi Tianyu had let Qin He go, and the whole affair stopped there. But Yi Futian intervened and ruined his chance. That was not something Yi Tianyu intended to let go. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1482. Battling Yi Tianyu. Chapter 1482. Battling Yi Tianyu. Goddess Qin is a good friend of mine, so this naturally has something to do with me. Yi Futian looked at Yi Tianyu and said. There was a sound of elephants chanting upon his body, which rang through heaven and earth. Above the Xiantian Pavilion, everyone felt as if hundreds of thousands of elephants were running by. In an instant, the horrifying storm of the great path swept out and collided in the void. The hearts of many felt chilled. Yi Futian was facing Yi Tianyu. Did he also want to battle him? Yi Tianyu looked as if he was electrified, full of sharp edges. He said, This is the Xiantian Pavilion of Brahma's pure heaven. I won't fight here. As he finished speaking, he gave another look at Yi Futian and turned around to walk outside Xiantian Pavilion. Yi Futian naturally understood what he meant. He stepped into the void and headed outside as well. Seeing the actions of the two, many above Xiantian Pavilion followed them at once, and a sublime atmosphere moved outward all of a sudden. It was quite spectacular. Soon, only very few people remained in Xiantian Pavilion. Qin He looked up over there but didn't move. Those from Brahma's pure heaven was still here. Goddess Xiantian looked at Qin He and then said to the others around her, Take Qin He back to Brahma's pure heaven. Her voice was still calm, and no emotions could be detected from it. No one knew her thoughts. Even the disciples of Brahma's pure heaven could not tell. Yes. Several people walked toward Qin He. Qin He looked at Goddess Xiantian. Her eyes still expressed some confusion and a hint of loss. Goddess Xiantian looked at her and said, Focus on cultivation in the future. When she was done, she walked outside. Qin He's beautiful eyes revealed a strange look. She was still puzzled and did not understand what Goddess Xiantian meant. Why ask her to focus on cultivation again? At this time, countless people beneath the Xiantian Pavilion felt as if their hearts had been shaken. They looked up above the void and felt an inner shock. Could it be that Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of the heavenly mandate dynasty, and Yi Futian were finally colliding? Previously, everyone in the Heavenly Mandate realm thought that this time, when Qin was selecting a path companion, it would be a game between the two of them. But no one thought it would be in the form of fighting. After all, the cultivation between the two was completely different. Even though Futian was 1 in a million, he was still just an unblemished saint. The Crown Prince Tianyu had already proven to be in the Nirvana plane, and may even be the strongest person under Run Huang of the Heavenly Mandate realm. At their level, this realm was extremely difficult to cross. How could they fight then? 10,000 bones of the Divine Elephant Emperor, someone said when they felt the surging momentum from Futian. The two figures walked above the sky, leaving Xintian Pavilion, and came to the area outside. There seemed to be countless illusions of the divine elephants above the sky. The breath upon Futian was already comparable to that of the Nirvana plane. With the help of the 10,000 bones of the Divine Elephant Emperor, Futian's strength is indeed comparable to that of the Nirvana plane. This makes them equal when fighting one another, many people observed and remarked. The bones of the ancestors of the Divine Elephants had extremely potent power. After Futian cultivated with the Divine Elephants and learned of this unparalleled skill, he was able to resonate with the 10,000 bones of the Divine Elephant Emperor and burst into supreme power. Tianyu likewise also continued in the peak form, as when he fought with Qin He. The life spirit of the divine picture of the Heavenly Mandate bloomed, the divine light of the great path continuing to converge toward his body. This made him the incarnation of the divine body of the great path, the one and only. The scene above the sky was utterly shocking. Tianyu, known as the natural supremacy of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, was destined to be extraordinary. He was shouldering the mission of reviving the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Then there was Futian, who had called himself the divine body of the heavenly path. What a battle these two men would have. The cultivators of those top principalities landed in different directions, but all were gazing at the battlefield, especially the cultivators of the Purple Gold Rat clan and Zhan Yuan. They were highly interested in this battle. Today, Tianyu failed to win the heart of Qin He and make an alliance through marriage with Brahma's pure heaven. But the chasm between Futian and Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had also deepened. This time, perhaps neither Tianyu nor the Heavenly Mandate dynasty would not let the matter go. A violent murderous force swept through the sky and the earth. Above the void, Tianyu was clad in the divine armor of a god. His golden pupils were extremely sharp. His finger pressed toward the void, and a frightening Qinqiu brush appeared above the void, stabbing directly down from the sky. It broke through the air instantly as thousands of murderous air streams turned into the divine light of the great path, aiming straight at Futian. There was a sharp howling sound in the void, pricking everyone's eardrum. Even cultivators standing in the distance could feel that strong will of murder. If there were a chance, perhaps Tianyu would kill Futian. Futian raised his hand and blasted the great path to destroy everything, shattering the void. With Futian's body as the center, a terrible scene appeared around him as thousands of divine elephants rushing past, stomping across the sky and smashing those killing streams. There was a terrible storm of the great path on the sky, and the two of them stunned everyone with just the initial exchange. The 10,000 bones of the Divine Elephant Emperor. Tianyu could naturally feel the powerful momentum emitting from Futian's body, which was faintly laced with the might of with the imperial power of sovereign. The countless divine elephants that had trampled through the void contained the will of the demon emperor. The divine picture of Heavenly Mandate roared in the void, gathering the great path of heaven and earth. The world was enveloped by a picture, as the divine picture of the Heavenly Mandate was madly expanding, covering the sun and the sky, and shrouding the battlefield where he and Futian were. In a moment, an infinite number of murderous air currents fell from the sky, and many Qinqiu brushes appeared. In Tianyu's palm, a divine brush seemed to have appeared. It would be able to cut through the great path. He, who was clad in the divine armor, appeared to be the descendant of the gods. In his hand, he held the pen and smashed it down from the sky. Under the attack of thousands of Qinqiu brushes, the entire sky seemed to be buried in the slaughter. Yi Futian's image became extraordinarily small in comparison. Yi Futian looked up at the countless divine brushes that descended from the sky, each of which contained the slaying power of the Great Path. It roared through the sky and slashed to his side. Yi Futian's face was somber, and the deed of thorough comprehension exploded. As the Great Path unified, an idol king appeared upon his body, a divine elephant of golden armor. With the sound of the elephant trumpet, it rocked heaven and shook the earth. It was as if everything was about to collapse. The hearts of many beat rapidly, and they were all in extreme shock. How strong! Everyone looked at the battlefield, especially those who were on the Xiantian pavilion before. They found that this battle was even more violent than the one between Yi Tianyu and Qin He, and the initial exchange of the two was enough to stun everyone. Yi Futian's body, which was enveloped with the divine elephant of golden armor, had now transformed into the divine elephant emperor. Tens of thousands of elephants trampled towards the sky, colliding with Qianqiu brushes. There were even an infinite number of killing currents and Qianqiu brushes that landed on the immense torso of the divine elephant of the golden armor, unable to shake it in the slightest. Spectacular. The people in the Brahma Sky City below watched this violent battle with trembling excitement. The scene in front of them was simply too sensational. The idol king continued forward toward Yi Tianyu. Obviously, Yi Futian did not intend to take a defensive position at all, but instead took the initiative to attack preemptively to Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Bang! The method of divine elephant stomping the sky bloomed, crushing the void and trampling the Great Path. The divine elephant of golden armor moved forward. Its seemingly awkward body arrived in front of Yi Tianyu in an instant. I heard that you were born to be supreme, but your true strength is unknown, Yi Futian said loudly, dominant and overbearing. With his palms raised, he launched a punch at Yi Tianyu, and the void seemed to be shattered and pulverized. Between him and Yi Tianyu, everything was exploded and shattered. Yi Tianyu also truly felt Yi Futian's aggressive and dominant power. He stepped forward, and the giant Qianqiu brush also pierced ahead. Infinite murderous air currents converged into a storm of slaughter that continued to collide with the might of that and that strike. Boom boom. The two forces converged, and the world was overshadowed. Bang! Yi Futian continued to take a step forward. The immense divine elephants once again trampled the sky, and the arm once again penetrated heaven and earth. As this strike was thrown, infinite shadows of the punch appeared, and each blow was able to shatter the sky. The power of the divine elephant void-splitting fist could crush an entire space. The divine picture of heavenly mandate released bright dazzling divine light, covering Yi Tianyu. With his body as the center, a storm of the Great Path started to rise. The heavenly mandate divine book bloomed, and hundreds of thousands of the slaughtering forces seemed to be swallowed up by the divine picture of the Great Path. Everything could be wiped out at any time. He stared at Yi Futian. His eyes were still proud. Divine art of heavenly mandate? Yi Futian looked down at him. His body was glowing with celestial light. With the celestial soul gathering, the celestial soul attraction was released. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Behind Yi Futian, in addition to the tens of thousands of divine elephants galloping, there was a celestial soul that also manifested, emitting extremely and radiant celestial light. Behind Yi Futian, in addition to the tens of thousands of divine elephants galloping, there was a celestial soul that also manifested, emitting extremely and radiant celestial light. This scene made Yi Futian's temperament even more remarkable. Fae and demon united as one, showing a tantalizing demonic elegance. However, Yi Tianyu was not to be surpassed. The divine picture of heavenly mandate was bright and shrouded his body. The divine light of the Great Path flowed toward his body and put the armor of a god on him. This armor of a god actually took the shape of a gigantic demon. It transformed into the divine bird Kuanping battle suit. At this moment, there seemed to be a sacred divine beast of Kuanping that formed a battle armor. Its gorgeous and divine feathers open, covering the sun in the sky, and the divine light split through the sky. Then a supreme collision. The hearts of many cultivators beat wildly. They did not expect that the battle between Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu could be so brilliant, or that Yi Futian, who had urged the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor, was just like Gu Donglu before. He was outstanding within the realm, comparable to that of Nirvana, as he battled Yi Tianyu with an indomitable stance. Above the sky, the battle will covered the heavens. Yi Futian's pupils were demonic and terrifying, and he sensed the spiritual souls of Yi Tianyu. He saw that Yi Tianyu's spiritual soul had put on the divine armor of Kuimpeng. It was radiant beyond imagination. Clearly, the divine method of the heavenly realm could also be used on the spiritual soul as a truly top-notch method. Yi Tianyu waving both wings and caused a slaughtering storm above the sky. There were countless divine feathers of the Kuimpeng turning into golden slaughtering spears upon the divine armor of Kuimpeng, which instantly shot through the void and aimed toward Yi Futian. Bang bang bang! The bodies of galloping giant divine elephants were directly penetrated and shattered. Yi Futian, who was possessed by the golden divine elephant, kept walking forward. When he stepped out, the sky shook violently. It seemed it would collapse in total destruction. At the same time, a terrifying might of suppression descended. It seemed to freeze the space. Many slaughtering spears above the sky became sluggish. Their power had greatly weakened. But Yi Tianyu didn't stop giving up. The wings of the Kuimpeng opened up, and the divine wings that sheltered the sky continued flapping. The sky was blowing a storm of the great path, but it was the force of the wind that caused a hurricane in the Brahma Sky City. The hurricane brought the golden slaughtering spears to descend at the same time in Yi Futian's direction. Such force, even for troops in the hundreds and thousands, would be wiped out immediately. But Yi Futian did not stop. He was still walking in the storm, and each step was earth-shattering. When the power of the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor was released, the power of the ultimate skills of the divine elephants also surged, resonating together. The galloping divine elephants had unparalleled power. His body rushed toward the center of the storm, and as a punch was thrown, the great path collapsed, opening up a great path of space. The golden divine elephants walked in this great path of space, crossing the void with a single step, and came in front of Yi Tianyu. The divine elephant of golden armor and Kumpen of the divine armor faced each other, and the people in the sky below looked up at the center of the storm. This was no longer a confrontation between Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu. It was more like a confrontation between divine beasts. Yi Futian raised his fist and blasted it forward without any flourishing movements. The bones of the divine elephant emperor inside his body burst out into divine glory and merged into the will of his fist. When this punch was thrown, Yi Tianyu, though clad with the divine armor of Kuimpeng that was protecting his spiritual soul, still felt the shock of the spiritual soul. Yi Futian's attack contained a terrible power that was able to penetrate anything. Divine elephant void-splitting fist, shattering the void. At the same time, Yi Tianyu's divine method bloomed, and a giant illusion of Kuimpeng appeared in the sky, grabbing at the giant divine elephant that appeared. They collided above the sky. Rumble! The sound of a horrible collision hurt the eardrums of the crowd. Looking up, the giant beasts collided, and the sky and earth broke apart. Moreover, this seemed to be just the beginning. Yi Futian was still pressing forward while attacking, launching punch after punch. He was facing Yi Tianyu, colliding with the great path. This white-haired young man had found no equal. With Yi Futian attacking like this, how could Yi Tianyu retreat? The attacks of the Kuimpeng's feathers could pierce the void. The crowd saw continuous and violent collisions above the sky, and neither warrior showed any intention of stopping. As the collision continued, everyone was shocked to discover that Yi Futian's attack seemed to be more violent and fierce. In contrast, Yi Tianyu seemed to have suffered some interference as his power was weakening. As a result, it felt as if Yi Futian had taken the initiative to engage in a violent attack, while Yi Tianyu was merely defending himself. This, once in the battle between Gu Donglu and Yi Tianyu had not been suppressed and always took the initiative. Now in his fight with Yi Futian, It actually felt that he was somewhat passive. What a shock this was. Could it be the might of the bones of the divine elephant emperor? Even so, Yi Futian's raw strength was still terribly powerful. Naturally, they did not understand why Yi Tianyu's offensive would be increased. Each of Yi Futian's dominant methods contained a powerful force to suppress and collapse. They directly blasted onto the spiritual soul through Yi Tianyu's body. Although the spiritual soul was clad with the will of war, under the continuous violent attacks, it was still extremely uncomfortable. Boom. Finally, with a loud bang, Yi Tianyu's body was knocked back. He could have continued to fight, but he did not. He chose to retreat instead. This step back was a little embarrassing for him. The crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty retreated in battle with Yi Futian, but he had to take this step back, or he would still be suppressed. He needed to retreat so he could advance. However, Yi Tianyu's retreat, as he had thought, shocked countless people beneath the sky. Yi Tianyu retreated during the confrontation with Yi Futian. Could it be that Yi Futian is stronger than the crown prince of Heavenly Mandate dynasty and Gudonglu? Some murmured, feeling the whole thing to be surreal. Even though Yi Futian's power was great, perhaps his talent could be ranked in the top 5 of Heavenly Mandate. However, nobody had ever thought that he could be stronger than Yi Tianyu. It should be the mighty power of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions. After all, it was the ancestor of the divine elephants, the royal mount of the demon emperor, an existence that shocked all generations alike. Someone responded. Yi Tianyu just took a step back. He needed to pull away to use a stronger method. Someone looked up into the sky with an extremely sharp expression. Sure enough, Yi Tianyu's aura had become perceivably more terrible. The divine picture of Heavenly Mandate engulfed the great path of heaven and earth. Countless divine lights of the great path seeped into Yi Tianyu's body. The divine picture also integrated into the body, wrapping it and turning it into a part of the divine armor. With dazzling divine light falling down, his long hair that was behind him also turned golden, full of sharp breath. His robe fluttered as he became a god of war, which was the ultimate evolution of the divine art of Heavenly Mandate, the divine advent. Yi Tianyu wanted to morph into a celestial divinity. However, just as he devoured the divine light of the great path, the sound of elephant trumpeting was heard, and an incomparable figure appeared above the sky. Yi Futian's silver hair danced with the wind, possessed by the divine elephant, and a long staff appeared in his hand. This long staff seemed to have been formed by the celestial way, but it was shining with a brilliant golden light. What was even more terrifying was the power contained in the long staff. Stepping onto the sky, Yi Futian glanced at Yi Tianyu below, and did not give him any time to gather his divine power. He just unleashed a strike with the staff. Shadows of the staff appeared and filled the sky. Among the many shadows of staff, there were also galloping divine elephants. The staff techniques were 9 strikes in the heaven, but powered by the immense strength of the divine elephants, and incorporating the will of the elephant splitting the sky into it. Its strength could only be imagined. Yi Tianyu raised his head to sweep a glance over the void. His rage surged to his crown, and his golden hair stood on end like spears. He shot out as if he were one of the gods. He raised his hand to point toward the void. His godlike figure was dazzling. As his finger pointed to the sky, moving his way forward, he broke through the great path, splitting through the sky. Countless shadows of the staff were now collapsing here. He wanted to open up an ancient path of slaughter, aiming at Yi Futian. Yi Tianyu had extreme killing will in his eyes. Boom! With a loud bang, Yi Tianyu had caused the divine might of the great path to collide with the long staff. However, he did not retreat, which showed just how terrible Yi Tianyu was in the state of godly advent. Buzz! The storm of great path ravaged, and Yi Futian stepped down, following up with another strike of the long staff with even greater power. Behind Yi Tianyu, the divine wings of Kuanping appeared. They lifted up, cutting through the void to shatter the shadows of the staff. Its divine power was incomparable. In the area outside of Xintian Pavilion, countless people in the Brahma Sky City looked up at the sky, their eyes not blinking. They stared at the battlefield, watching this terrifying battle that could make the gods and ghosts weep. The sound of collisions blasted out again and again, Each time felt as if there was a collision in their heart, making them feel that their bodies were vibrating and their blood boiling. The staff technique is still getting stronger. Those below watched as the staff blast out endlessly, trembling. Even if Yi Tianyu had the body of a god, it seemed that it was reaching the limit. When the sixth staff strike blasted out, the supreme power blasted open the void. Yi Tianyu groaned as his body fell from the void. His face was pale, and his spiritual soul trembled. The divine elephant descended from the sky, trampling the void, and struck with the staff again. This strike unified hundreds and thousands of the staff shadows into one. Even though it was only one strike, it seemed to be one with the great path. It flew toward Yi Tianyu. However, Yi Tianyu, who looked like a god from heaven, dared not intercept this attack at this moment. At this time, he was comparable to the body of the god, but still summoned the body of Kuanping to attack. Boom! The shadow of the staff fell, the Kuanping was shattered, and the divine armor was torn apart. A violent power penetrated the defense and exploded upon Yi Tianyu. His body was knocked to the ground from the sky, and all the buildings were pulverized. Countless people backed away as cracks appeared underneath their feet. Yi Tianyu has been suppressed. The eyes of many were dull. They couldn't believe what they had seen. In the heavenly mandate realm, was there someone who could suppress Yi Tianyu? As the battle of the celestial gate of vast heaven, even Gu Donglu had been unable to achieve it. Yi Futian leveraged the power of divine elephant emperor of 10 directions to suppress the crown prince of the heavenly mandate dynasty and knocked him to the ground. One could only imagine how strong of an impression this scene had left on people. When the dust cleared, everyone looked at the ground. Yi Tianyu, who was bathed in golden rays, stood in the ruins. The ground was already shattered. Above the sky, a peerless figure stood there, extremely dazzling. He was the white-haired talent who once again shocked the heavenly mandate realm. In the fight for the great path of heavenly mandate, who could be invincible? Who could be matchless and rule the times? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. All the cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked at Yi Futian, and there was some disturbance in their hearts. Gu Donglu was taken back to the Fei clan and was nurtured as its future leader. Although the two major clans shared the same goal and agreed on the same point, to say that everyone was the same as the lord of the Jiang clan without any thoughts regarding their personal interest would be impossible. All the cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked at Yi Futian, and there was some disturbance in their hearts. Gu Donglu was taken back to the Fei clan and was nurtured as its future leader. Although the two major clans shared the same goal and agreed on the same point, to say that everyone was the same as the lord of the Jiang clan without any thoughts regarding their personal interest would be impossible. If Gu Donglu's performance were disappointing, then Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven would not wager everything on him. Last time, Gu Donglu and Yi Tianzhang ended up in a draw. It was still something people of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven found comforting. After all, there was still a lot of room for improvement for Gu Donglu. But they did not expect that today, Gu Donglu's junior brother, Yi Futian, would also be someone who could rule an era. Unexpectedly, he had suppressed Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of the heavenly mandate realm. What kind of characters would these two brothers be in a few more years? What kind of landscape would be in the future for the heavenly mandate realm? Moreover, there seemed to be another figure named Yu Sheng, who had been cultivating with the dragon gods. Rumor had it that Yu Sheng had been accepted as a disciple by the dragon gods, and had been cultivating with its top characters. Those of the heavenly mandate dynasty were also shaken to the core, and their eyes were extremely sharp, including those from Shangxiao Divine Palace. Their senior brother had actually been defeated, blasted to the ground. Even if the other party had the help of a magical divine item, his own strength was also incredible. Its attack could be considered terrifying. It seemed that one could not afford to underestimate top figures in the supreme realm. Undoubtedly, Yi Futian belonged amongst top genius talents. There were few people who could rival Yi Tianyu. All the cultivators felt the disturbance in their hearts, and this gave rise to all kinds of thoughts. goddess Xiantian, and the cultivators of Brahma's pure heaven were also watching the battle, staring at Yi Futian. At this moment, a slight sound was heard, and from the broken ground below, Yi Tianyu emerged. The divine light on his body was still bright and dazzling, which moved many people. Even such an attack could not hurt him seriously, and Yi Tianyu, in the state of godly advent, possessed the body of celestial divinity. He was indeed fearsome. Yi Futian looked down at Yi Tianyu, a well-known figure of the Nirvana plane, and the most outstanding descendant of the peak Renhuang existence, who would one day be the emperor of the heavenly mandate dynasty. Yi Tianyu, who was hailed as a natural-born supreme, was indeed very strong. Yi Futian's attack was already at the peak of Nirvana plane, but even so, it had only slightly injured Yi Tianyu. Although he managed to suppress the other, he was unable to seriously damage Yi Tianyu. Yi Tianyu looked up and stared at Yi Futian in the void. He was expressionless, and there seemed to be no disturbance on his face. No one knew what he was thinking or how he felt at the moment. The void became a bit oppressed. Yi Tianyu's eyes never left Yi Futian, and then he stretched out his palms. In an instant, divine light dazzled. A divine pagoda appeared in front of Yi Tianyu, continuously expanding and enlarging in the void. Renhuang implement. Everyone's eyes sharpened. Yi Tianyu had now also released a Renhuang implement. Furthermore, the might of this particular Renhuang implement was extremely aggressive, as it continued flying toward the sky, turning into an immense and endless pagoda. The infinite divine light of the great path flooded into it, and the light of the divine pagoda headed toward Yi Futian. Yi Futian looked up at the pagoda and stepped into the void. The divine elephant roared and headed toward the pagoda. However, under the glory of the divine pagoda, every single one of the divine elephants was shattered into nothingness. The divine light permeated the sky, turning into a storm of destruction and murder. Boom! Yi Futian's celestial soul power was faintly restricted. This divine pagoda contained the power to suppress celestial soul, which was the prowess of Renhuang. There was a loud roar inside of Yi Futian, and the power of the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor surged to the extreme. An overpowering divine elephant appeared and stepped into the sky. The long staff in his hand swung toward the divine pagoda. Yi Tianyu's body flickered and appeared on top of the divine pagoda. His body became large and turned into a true celestial divinity. He held the giant divine pagoda in his hand and hurled it below. Illusions of the divine pagoda slammed down. It was as if they could destroy demons and saints. Under the shining glory of the divine pagoda, Yi Tianyu turned into the ancient emperor. It was like the ancient emperor of the heavenly mandate dynasty had descended into the world, his towering figure releasing the mighty power of the great path. This implement, the cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked grave. The might of Renhuang from this implement was extremely horrifying. Even if Yi Tianyu's current state could not release all its power, just a part of its might would be enough to put the fear into everyone's heart. Yi Tianyu obtained this thing from the ancestral lands. The implement left by an ancestor, and its power was far more than what was being shown. Since Yi Futian fought against him using the bones of the mount of the demon emperor, the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions, then he would have to suppress him with the implement of his ancestors. Boom! There was a sound of a shocking collision above the sky. It was extremely horrific, and Yi Futian's staff technique was suppressed by it. The lights of divine pagoda rushed toward his body. It was like shadows of the divine pagoda directly ran through his body, shrouding that immense and boundless divine elephant, and his celestial soul was likewise suppressed. What a powerful implement! The cultivators around were all trembling. It seemed that Yi Tianyu was angered by being overwhelmed by Yi Futian, and had now resorted to a super powerful implement, determined to reverse the tides and wash away his shame. The light of the pagoda seemed to be manifold, covering Yi Futian's body. Each fold of the divine light was extraordinarily terrifying, and seemed to want to refine Yi Futian's body. Boom! The divine elephant of golden armor walked on the sky, and Yi Futian was still resisting. His pupils turned toward the sky, and they were extremely fierce. They were both to fight again. Go! Yi Tianyu raised his hand and waved, Immediately, the towering divine pagoda traveled downward and landed on the sky above Yi Futian. Rays of the divine light of the pagoda descended frantically, wanting to bound and imprison Yi Futian within. Two terrible forces met and collided in the void, but Yi Futian was under terrible pressure and was likely to be suppressed. Yi Tianyu, you are an entire realm higher than your opponent, and yet after you were defeated, you now have to resort to such a powerful implement? Is this the way of the natural-born supreme of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty? Hua Qingyan said sarcastically. At the level of Saint Plain, an entire realm was a vast difference in power, and the differences in strength could be 10 times or more, so it could only be imagined how difficult the gap was to overcome. Under such circumstances, as the peak existence of the naturally born supreme, fighting with Renhuang implement, how could the fight be fair or just? It was important to note that Yi Tianyu was also the existence of the peak. Yi Tianyu ignored Hua Qingyan, as divine light rained from his body and fell upon the divine pagoda. It continued its slaughter on Yi Futian. In those indifferent and profound eyes, there was the intention to kill. Such an unfair battle. That's enough. Cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven spoke up. The might of Renhuang was bloomed and released. However, almost at the same time, from the direction of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, there was also infinite might of Renhuang that bloomed. In an instant, this space was shrouded in the power of Renhuang. It seemed that as long as the Renhuang of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven intend to make a move, then the Renhuang of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty would not stand idly by. Many cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty emit thoughts of murder. Between the vast space of heaven and earth, many observing cultivators remarked to themselves. Prior to this, Yi Futian had obstructed the alliance by marriage between Yi Tianyu and Qin He. He now had revealed his superior talent. At this moment, he had already elicited the intent to kill from the cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. Boom! Above the firmament, the glory of the divine pagoda was getting more and more terrible. The glory of the divine elephant on Yi Futian's body was becoming dimmer as a terrible force continued to rush into his body, turning his face pale. This pagoda of the sky could suppress celestial soul attraction. At this moment, a figure walked through the void, and many showed a strange look when they beheld this figure. However, the people from the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty did not stop him. It was just someone from the Saint Plain. Who could compete with Yi Tianyu right now? Anyone who wanted to get involved would be easily suppressed. The man continued moving forward and was walking toward the pagoda. When everyone saw this, they all showed a strange look. Was this man seeking death? Even the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty had a look of jeer on their faces. What a complete lack of self-awareness. The man who walked out was Qi Xiangang, who now had the ancient characters of the Great Path appearing on his body. The power of the deed of thorough comprehension bloomed. The words that indicated heaven and earth were on the top and bottom respectively. A divine picture of the Great Path appeared around him. And Qi Xiangang walked out from under the glory of the divine pagoda, blocking Yi Futian from the divine pagoda. Is he mad? The hearts of many trembled darkly, and the people from Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven showed a strange color. As far as they knew, this man was Yi Futian's master. His temperament was extraordinary, showing he was not someone who did this without reason. But the glory of the divine pagoda was mighty. For someone in the Saint Plain attempt to compete with his own body of flesh and blood, it was undoubtedly pure foolishness. Many people watched as Qi Xianzhang was suppressed by the glory of the divine pagoda. However, as Qi Xiangang stepped into it, the glorious rays of the divine pagoda were cut off. They descended upon his body instead, and did not continue to bombard Yi Futian, apparently isolated by his body. The crowd found out, much to their shock, that Qi Xiangang was standing inside. The pattern of the Great Path shrouded his whole body, and the power that was blasted down by the divine pagoda to kill seemed to turn into nothingness, unable to destroy him. The scene in front of their eyes stunned many people. How was this possible? Yi Tianyu's strength was already at the peak of the Nirvana plane. His combat power was top-notch. Not to mention that he had the aid of the Renhuang implement. Someone from the Saint Plane, no matter how strong, would only face the fate of being obliterated under these circumstances. But Qi Xiangang was actually dissolving his attacks. Rays of sacred light were released from Qi Xiangang, which caused confused looks to appear on the faces of many Renhuang cultivators. Renhuang will. Their pupils contracted slightly. From Qi Shuanggong's body, they felt the will that belonged to Renhuang. It definitely did not belong to Saint Plane, but only to Renhuang. This man who had already entered Renhuang with 1 foot could break free of the Great Path at any time and level up his realm. Master, Futian called out. The divine light of the Great Path upon Qi Shuanggong's body shot upward and shrouded the divine pagoda within. Suddenly the oppressive force on Futian's body disappeared completely. He walked across the void and past his master Qi Xiangang and the divine pagoda. With a strike of the staff he slammed down. The sky changed color, and the look on Tianyu's face, who was controlling the divine pagoda, suddenly changed. In haste he sent out a great palm print, which was crushed and pulverized. Futian's staff fell directly on him, this time much more violent than the blow previously. The blast caused Tianyu to spit out blood. He was sent flying, and even the sound of bones breaking could be heard. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Seeing this transpire, the hearts of many skipped a beat. Tianyu's body flew back and his mouth was bleeding. Seeing this transpire, the hearts of many skipped a beat. Tianyu's body flew back and his mouth was bleeding. The staff attack made many people feel a crawling sensation on their scalps. If it were them, that strike would probably be enough to end them. Tianyu was beat once again, and the injury was not minor. Who was that? Someone wondered silently, glancing at Qi Xiangang. He had stepped directly under the divine pagoda, as someone in the Saint Plane blocked Futian from the attack of the divine pagoda, and even bound the pagoda there. Furthermore, he already exuded a trace of Renhuang will, with 1 foot firmly planted on the other side. It was not that he was just a half step away from Renhuang, but that he could possibly enter the Renhuang plane level at any moment. Many people in Violet Heavenly Palace looked rather sharp. Some of them recognized Qi Xiangang, Futian's master, who had shown his strength in the celestial demon city in the old days. His power was mighty. His realm was unexpectedly profound. Tianyu, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, probably had never suffered such humiliation before. This time, he was invited by Brahma's pure heaven, was prepared to marry the first virgin, Qin He, but Qin He would rather fight to the death with him than stay with him, which made him appear unnecessarily aggressive. Afterward, Futian stepped forward to fight him, and this was the conclusion. In Brahma Sky City, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had suffered a humiliation that he had never experienced before. This should be the first time, but there was a flash of cold light from Zhan Yuan's eyes. He was the supreme body of the Great Path, from the Violet Heavenly Palace. This was getting more interesting. The hatred between Tianyu and Futian was getting deeper, which would naturally be to the benefit of the Violet Heavenly Palace. After all, the Violet Heavenly Palace and the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had a common enemy. As he had thought, a strong and overbearing might bloomed. The cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, upon seeing Tianyu being injured, finally made their move. The mighty authority of Renhuang shrouded the sky. A Renhuang pointer struck at Qi Xiangang and Futian, penetrating heaven and earth. Those Renhuang of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had also been prepared for this moment. Radiant celestial light was shining, and a figure crossed the void and descended. A celestial sword slashed out at the same time, colliding with the destructive Renhuang power. A violent storm blew between heaven and the earth. Its fierce pressure of might slammed on the bodies of both Futian and Qi Xiangang, and they were both slammed back. The divine pagoda flew back in an instant, and headed toward Tianyu, who put it away. Boom, boom, boom. Bursts of might of Renhuang erupted at the same time, and as it swept through the sky, The people below really felt the suffocating divine might of the great path. They tensed and their breath quickened. Was a major battle of Renhuang about to erupt? At this time in Brahma Sky City, countless people looked up to the sky, and above Xintian Pavilion, there was a palpable pressure of Renhuang might. Yi Futian and Qi Xiangang both retreated into the camp of the celestial gate of vast heaven. Under these circumstances, they no longer could continue in the battle. Even though Qi Xiangang was not far from the Renhuang realm, the realm of those others was simply way too high. Even if he had already entered the Renhuang realm, it would still be difficult for him to participate. Yi Tianyu and the top figures of the Violet Heavenly Palace were here. And then there were the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, who followed them. Of course, Jiang Taichu and Hua Qingyan were also here. And the guardians of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven were no weaklings either. Therefore, the pressure of might that erupted above the sky was horrific. So, Renhuang can intervene after being defeated? A voice was heard, and it was the cultivator of divine elephants. In today's battle, Yi Futian had shown the cultivators of the divine elephants that even human cultivators could fully exercise the inherited techniques of the divine elephants so well. He was even better and stronger than their top geniuses. Thus, it was no wonder the divine elephant emperor had told them to guard Yi Futian well. It seemed that previously, when Yi Futian had returned with the divine elephants, the divine elephant emperor had already realized that Yi Futian had unlimited potential. This battle was enough to prove that he could exist side by side with the likes of Gu Donglu and Yi Tianyu, and that he was no less worthy than the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Previously he had already had several brilliant battles, but the battle today would exemplify his record, which would soon be spread throughout the Heavenly Mandate realm. Today, Yi Futian interrupted the marriage between the Heavenly Mandate dynasty and Brahma's pure heaven Yi Futian. The divine elephants would be wise not to interfere, the cultivator of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty said. His voice rang through the void. Everyone in Brahma Sky City could hear him clearly. If it were not for the sake of being unwilling to involve divine elephants in this dispute with the Heavenly Mandate realm, perhaps the Heavenly Mandate dynasty would have already attacked Yi Futian a long time ago. Renhuang are not allowed to participate in friendly contests of the Saint Plane. This is a rule from the human world of cultivation. Now that your crown prince was defeated, you decided to mobilize your Renhuang to battle, and you intend to prevent me from intervening. The voice of the cultivator of the divine elephants was overbearing. As he walked, the sky shook, making roaring and booming sounds that were terrifying. Even though he said this, everyone knew that the fighting had already gone far beyond the scope of a friendly contest. Both Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu had already exerted their true strength. It's best that the forces of the demon realm not interfere in the matters of the human world of cultivation. The Renhuang from Heavenly Mandate dynasty continued. Don't forget, the Heavenly Mandate realm demarcates the human world of cultivation and that of the demon realm. You are all here as guests, and we won't pursue the matter, but don't you meddle in it. That's right, the divine elephants shouldn't forget where they are. The cultivators from the Violet Heavenly Palace also piped in. They were the allies of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Bang! The cultivators of the divine elephants snorted coldly and continued forward. The void shook violently, and many of those in Brahma Sky City, whose cultivation was not as strong, groaned as their faces paled. If that random stomp were to land on them, its invisible might was enough to suppress them. The people of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty are right. We are from the demon realm, so why should we participate in human disputes? At this time a voice was heard. The cultivator who spoke was a figure of Demon Emperor from the Purple Gold Rat clan. They always thrived in chaotic times. The rise of the Purple Gold Rat clan was due to the chaotic environment. Now if things would get more chaotic, it would undoubtedly be another opportunity. He clearly understood that the divine elephants chose this moment to interfere. They passed their special techniques on to Yi Futian in an attempt to place a bet in the world of human cultivation. This way, they could have a say in the changing future of the Heavenly Mandate realm. However, this was clearly something the Purple Gold Rat clan did not wish to see. Why are you rats everywhere? The cultivator of the divine elephant swept a glance over them, his eyes of the elephant emperor domineering and full of contempt. The divine elephants had always had a lofty position within the demon realm, with noble blood to boot. The era of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions was the golden age, when they were the top demon clan in the demon realm. The purple gold rat clan was nowhere on their radar. This was also why the purple gold rat clan was so sensitive. In the demon realm, many noble demon clans despised them. Even though they had true strength, respect and recognition still eluded them. The glory of purple gold glittered and bloomed. The body of the cultivator from purple gold rat clan was radiant all over. As he moved forward, a demon emperor whispered coldly, "Even us rats would like to experience the power of the divine elephants." As soon as he said that, he raised his hand and blasted out his attack. Above the sky, an immense and boundless purple gold divine rat appeared, covering the sky and biting at the demon emperor of the divine elephant below. The demon emperor of the divine elephant frowned. This rat actually dared to engage him. But he instantly understood the intention of the other party. They wanted to deliberately keep them occupied, so that the cultivators of the heavenly mandate dynasty could do what they wanted. Stepped into the void, an immense giant divine elephant manifested, and the great battle of demon emperors had the potential to split heaven and earth. At this time, the Runhuang existence of the heavenly mandate realm was moving forward in an arc. In an instant, the divine light of the heavenly mandate shrouded the sky, shrouding the vast endless void within, completely locking down this space. They intended to keep Futian here for the kill. Protect him. The cultivators from the celestial gate of vast heaven frowned. These Runhuang of heavenly mandate dynasty were really determined. It was much easier to kill lesser characters under their protection than to defeat all of them. Furthermore, they had arranged this layer of the heavenly mandate divine light of boundary, delaying them to get to Tianyu on the outside for a while. "Be careful," someone said to Futian. This was intended to take Futian's life. The will to murder had taken hold of the heavenly mandate dynasty, and now, they wanted to execute Futian here. Gu Donglu was already a volatile factor, so it was best to get rid of Futian. Otherwise, two peerless characters were sure to be a big problem in the future. The slaughtering divine light drowned out the void and shot directly toward Futian. Runhuang of the celestial gate of vast heaven stepped out successively and locked down where Futian was. The celestial light, bright and radiant, cast a celestial matrix. However, at this time, there was a character of divine general from the other side, who raised his hand and pierced through the void, shooting straight at Futian. They were not interested in a long fight. They just wanted to kill Futian. Celestial light turned into a boundary and blocked the sky above. As that one finger fell, a divine light swept through the heavens. It was as if it had leveled the heavens. It was extremely fearsome to behold. The cultivators of the divine elephants were restrained by the great demon of the purple gold rat clan, and the situation seemed very unfavorable. In front of so many Runhuang, Futian appeared weaker, and he could not withstand their attacks. At this moment, a suffocating power of mighty of the great path suddenly came from above, pressing down on everyone. Divine light fell straight down, and the faces of the cultivators from the heavenly mandate dynasty changed. They raised their heads and looked up at the sky. A gorgeous face appeared. This face was perfect, and in the vast mandate heaven, such a face was difficult to find. But the majesty contained in those eyes could make people forget the shocking beauty of this face. Just a look was enough to make these Runhuang and demon emperors feel inexplicable coercion, and the fighting ceased in an instant. Her Majesty, in Brahma Sky City, countless people worshipped the face above the sky, and many looked extremely moved, for they had now seen the Empress in person. "If you want to be disorderly, get out of Brahma Sky City." An extremely arrogant and icy voice came from above. It was authoritative and dominant, disallowing for any doubt. The fight stopped in an instant. The cultivators of the heavenly mandate dynasty looked grim. Brahma's pure heaven was also responsible for today's blunder. But the overlord was not there. So who would be eligible to talk with Her Majesty the Empress of Brahma's pure heaven? No one dared to question her. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.